Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for joining me for a moment of reflection on life transformation and dealing with uncertainty. This year has been really different for me, and that's because for the first time since I was 6 years old, I'm not going back to school. I graduated college a few months ago, and my life since then has not been at all like what I expected or planned for. And so I hope that by sharing some of the reflections and emotions that I've been feeling throughout this journey, maybe it could help you find a bit more peace with whatever season of life you may be in. If I take myself back to when I was younger and thinking about the future of my life, this was the plan. Step 1, go to school, get good grades, so I can get into a good college. Step 2, go to college, get good grades, so I can get a good job. And of course, fall in love and make the world a better place along the way. This is such a linear way of thinking, and it's all about reaching for that next milestone. And looking back, I feel so grateful that I even had the privilege to think like this. I was so lucky to grow up with access to good education, but not only that, to have this mindset from my community and my family that if I succeeded academically, then I deserved to go to college. Throughout my childhood, I stayed true to my life plan. I loved sports, and I also loved learning. I loved school. I was getting those straight A's and learning how to push myself. When I got into my dream college, it felt like I was being rewarded for all that hard work and all those late nights studying. And as I went through college, I felt so proud and lucky to be where I was. And even though I could feel my heart opening up to new ideas and new ways of being in the world, I was still seeking that external validation. And I think it's a mindset that a lot of students fall into because we're constantly being assessed with grades and exam results, and if we do well, it feels like a real victory. But somewhere along the way, it became hard to separate my self-worth from those achievements. When it became time to apply for jobs during my senior year, it was really difficult. I was a computer science major, and at the time, tech companies were laying off workers left and right. The companies I had interned for didn't have enough money to hire me back, and it was hard to even get interviews. I had so much anxiety. After 5 or 6 rounds of interviews with a Bay Area startup, I finally got that job in data science that I really wanted. Flash forward to the very last week of school, I got an email that changed everything. My job offer was rescinded. The company didn't have enough money and they were cutting off all new engineering hires. I know this is gonna sound dramatic, but it felt like my entire life plan was falling apart, so I went into immediate panic mode. I remember talking to my mom on the phone and telling her through tears of disbelief what had happened. She was so calm on the phone. She told me it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't my fault, and I can always come live at home. It's really not the end of the world. Thank gosh for family, right? I just feel so lucky and grateful that I have a home to come back to and people who love me. I know a lot of students need to start paying off debt or providing for their families financially right after graduation. That is so much pressure, and if you are in that position, I want you to know I hear you, and my heart goes out to you. I had one last big event planned up after graduation. I was going to England to play in the Under-24 Ultimate Frisbee World Championships. This should have been one of the proudest moments of my life. I had just graduated college, which is a huge achievement, and after being an athlete my entire life, I was playing for a USA national team. And not only that, but we won gold after an exciting finals match with Japan. I made so many great memories and friends during that experience. But deep down, part of me still felt like a failure. And I was so worried about the future. Quite honestly, I felt like the loser who couldn't get a job and had to move back in with their parents. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life is not linear. It's from those moments where I have been so attached to my expectations of how my life should unfold that I end up feeling the most lost and disconnected. Over the last few months, I have been finding a lot of inspiration and wisdom from Mother Earth. I think a lot of people find security in routine and naturally dislike change. But the more you spend time in nature, the more you realize that change is the only constant. Some days I will go down to the pond and sit for a long time in silence, just watching the tadpoles. Isn't it a miracle that they hatch from eggs and start life like fish swimming through the water? Then one day, they start growing legs and eventually become frogs that breathe open air. And how amazing is it to witness a caterpillar form its little cocoon? Then it reemerges with wings to carry it off on the wind. Every phase of life is beautiful in its own way, even if it is unfinished, and even if it is imperfect. Transformation is truly the most universal experience of being alive. So, if you are like me and experiencing a time of uncertainty and change, just think of those little tadpoles changing along with you. I'm slowly starting to see this time in my life as a blessing instead of a disappointment. I may not have a full-time job, but I'm learning how to find joy and presence in my life again. Sometimes when you don't get an outcome that you want, you feel like you have nothing to lose, and it opens up possibilities that you may have never given a shot. For me, that is working on my tiny house, finally starting a YouTube channel, and beginning a journey into VR development. To wrap up this reflection, I just want to say thank you for listening and thinking about the world with me. Share some gratitude, tell someone you love them, and have a beautiful day.